Hello, my name is Bob Thompson. I'm very glad to be here at St. Paul's in Salem. I grew up in Texas, started piano at an early age, was playing organ in church in the high school, went on to pursue music as a career. I got a doctorate and so forth, and taught at St. Olaf College for 16 years, St. Olaf in Minnesota. I mainly an organist there, but I also taught harpsichord, having studied some in Germany. And so after I left the Midwest, I took a position as director of music at All Souls Episcopal Church in San Diego, where I was organist and choirmaster and director of concerts. So today I thought I would talk about the harpsichord that St. Paul's has here. It was mine originally, and I sold it to the church. So I thought I would give you some background on the history of the harpsichord and how it works. Apparently, it was first invented in the late Middle Ages. And unlike the organ, which had a particular builder at a particular time, we know specifically who invented it 2 centuries before Christ, we don't really know who built the first harpsichords. But by the 16th century in Italy, there were harpsichords being made. And in the early days, they used catgut for the strings, probably as guitars and lutes did. But today they're metal strings and plastic plectra. The plectra is something that plucks the string. In the old days, they were a goose quill, which I find very interesting. But having started really in Italy around the 16th century with only one set of strings, they grew throughout Europe. Germany and England, the Netherlands especially, had very, very fine, high quality harpsichords, and also in France, where it was just called clavecin. The Italian word was cembalo or clavicembalo. Germany, they used the Italian cembalo. I don't know where the word harpsichord actually came across, but possibly because of the shape of the case. Even today, pianists will refer to their big metal frame that holds all the keys as the harp. So it looks like a harp set on one side. And keys were added with plectra, and they simply pluck the string. And it's very simple. You can build your own. You can buy a kit and build your own. But anyway, it's a pretty simple mechanism, but I was going to say that they grew in size. France had some great ones too, but they added sets of strings at different pitches. Some had 2 manuals and a pedal board like the organ. So they became really quite elaborate. And but we have a fairly simple one here as 2 sets of strings. We use the term stop for the organist jargon. But 2 sets of strings with a little different timbre for each one. But the strings are, as I said, plucked with goose quill. Today it's all plastic. But you might see a tiny little thing sticking out here. It looks like a rose thorn right there. When I press the key, that goes, it strikes the string, makes it vibrate, just like plucking a harp. The key is released, and this stops the string from vibrating. So you don't have a motion of sound. And that's basically all there is to it. I thought I would say about the special stop, they call it, on the harpsichord that was invented at some point. When you listen to the sound of the harpsichord, it's a sustaining sound, kind of bright. If I move this lever, it moves a little piece of felt to touch the string to make it sound like a lute. It's called a lute stop. Now, there are many composers, very famous composers, who wrote for the harpsichord. Bach, of course, Handel, all the big French names, Couperin, Rameau, wrote for the harpsichord, and there are pieces for 2 harpsichords. And of course, the harpsichord was used a lot as an accompaniment in orchestra and choral music throughout the Baroque period, as a continuo, just a background filling in of harmonies, as were small organs. But Johann Sebastian Bach, being the great genius that he was, actually wrote a concerto for 3 harpsichords and orchestra. So that's probably the ultimate, but you have harpsichord and orchestra, concertos, you have harpsichord and flute, sonatas, harpsichord accompanying vocal pieces, as we had in the beautiful service this morning here at St. Paul's. So the harpsichord was just really universal until about the time of Mozart. The piano came along. The harpsichord really went out of favor for a long time, most of the 19th century. But during the 20th century, it's a return to interest in early music and the sounds that were appropriate. So today, the harpsichord has a huge renaissance, and you can actually, as I said earlier, build your own if you want to. But I'm very glad to be able to demonstrate St. Paul's harpsichord, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Paul Clemmy and the staff here for giving me the opportunity to do this. Thank you.